The rain had been falling all afternoon, heavy and merciless, drenching the small town streets until everything looked gray and tired. Cars rushed past, spraying water onto sidewalks where hardly anyone walked anymore. At the corner of a narrow street, under the flickering light of an old lamppost, sat a young woman. She couldn't have been more than 22, her thin frame shivering against the cold night air. Her clothes clung to her body from the rain, her long dark hair stuck to her pale face, and her eyes stared at nothing as though she had forgotten how to hope. People passed by in cars and on foot, but no one stopped. No one asked why she was sitting alone, hugging her knees like a child abandoned by the world. Just across the street, a black pickup truck slowed at the red light. Inside sat a man in his late 30s, rugged from years of working construction jobs, his calloused hands gripping the wheel. Beside him, in a booster seat, sat his 7-year-old daughter Emily. She had bright blue eyes that always noticed things her father sometimes missed. That night, she pressed her tiny hand against the window and whispered in a trembling voice, "Daddy, she's all alone." The man glanced at the girl on the sidewalk, then looked away. He had his own battles, raising a daughter alone after losing his wife, working 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. He told himself it wasn't his responsibility. But Emily's eyes filled with tears, and her small voice grew urgent. "Daddy, please, she's all alone. Before we go further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of a simple act of compassion to change someone's life, then please take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with others, and subscribe to our channel, Kindness Stories. Together, we can spread hope where it is needed most." The light turned green, but the man couldn't press the gas. His daughter's words echoed in his heart. He pulled over instead, unbuckled his seatbelt, and stepped out into the rain. When he approached the girl, he realized she was trembling violently. Her lips almost blue from the cold. She didn't even look up when he crouched down and asked if she was okay. Only when Emily ran across the street, holding her tiny pink umbrella, and touched the stranger's hand did the young woman lift her eyes. They were the saddest eyes he had ever seen, empty but still silently begging for help. He realized then, this wasn't just a lost girl, this was someone on the edge of giving up. Her name was Sarah. At 22, she had already faced more hardship than most people faced in a lifetime. Her parents had died in an accident when she was 17, leaving her to bounce between relatives who never wanted her. At 18, she tried to make it on her own, working 2 jobs while studying part-time. But life never gave her a fair chance. The small apartment she had worked so hard to afford was gone when she lost her job, after the diner she worked at closed down. With nowhere to go and no one to call, she ended up sleeping in bus stations, libraries, and now on the cold, wet streets of that small town. She had stopped hoping that anyone cared, until that moment when a little girl's voice broke through her silence. The man, whose name was Daniel, didn't know why he offered to take her home that night. Maybe it was the way Emily wouldn't stop crying until he agreed. Or maybe it was something deeper, a recognition of his own pain in Sarah's face. When his wife had passed away 3 years earlier, he had known the kind of loneliness that eats you alive at night. He had promised himself never to let his daughter see him broken, but he also knew how dangerous isolation could become. Taking Sarah home felt like the right thing, even if he wasn't sure what would come of it. The first night was awkward. Sarah sat quietly at the kitchen table, clutching the mug of hot cocoa Emily insisted she drink, while Daniel made grilled cheese sandwiches. She barely touched the food, too ashamed to admit she hadn't eaten properly in days. Emily, on the other hand, talked non-stop, telling Sarah about her favorite dolls, her school, and the bedtime stories her daddy read to her every night. Slowly, Sarah's stiff expression softened. For the first time in years, she laughed softly when Emily made a silly joke. Daniel saw that laugh, faint and fleeting, and realized how desperately she needed someone to remind her she was still human. But taking in a stranger wasn't simple. Daniel's neighbors gossiped when they saw Sarah around the house. At work, his coworkers warned him it was risky. And inside his own heart, doubts gnawed at him. Could he really help this young woman when he was barely keeping himself afloat? But every time he thought of asking her to leave, Emily would throw her arms around Sarah's waist, calling her Sissy, and Sarah's eyes would shine with unshed tears, as if no one had ever hugged her like that before. Sarah tried to help around the house. She cooked simple meals, cleaned, and even walked Emily to school when Daniel worked early shifts. Slowly, her presence brought a kind of peace to their home. Emily was happier than ever, and even Daniel noticed he was smiling more these days. But beneath Sarah's fragile smile lay the weight of her past. She carried guilt, shame, and fear that she didn't belong anywhere, that she was only a burden. One evening, after Emily went to bed, Sarah finally told Daniel everything. Her parents' death, the relatives who pushed her aside, the night she went hungry just to pay rent, and the night before he found her, when she almost gave up completely, believing no one in the world would care if she disappeared. Daniel listened, his heart heavy, realizing how close she had been to vanishing unnoticed. That night, he made a silent vow: as long as she was under his roof, she would never feel invisible again. Life didn't magically become easy. Daniel still struggled to pay bills, Sarah wrestled with self-doubt, and the shadows of the past lingered. But together, they began to climb out of the darkness. Sarah found part-time work at a bookstore, and for the first time, she felt proud to earn her own money again. She saved every dollar she could, dreaming of finishing her college degree. Daniel, though tired from long days, began to see a future brighter than the grief that once consumed him. And Emily, she simply blossomed, her little heart overjoyed to have both her father and the big sister she had always wished for. Months later, at Emily's school play, Sarah sat in the front row with Daniel, cheering the loudest. Afterward, when the teacher asked who Sarah was, Emily hugged her tightly and said with childlike certainty, "She's family." Tears filled Sarah's eyes. Family, a word she hadn't believed in for years, suddenly felt real again. The journey wasn't about charity. It was about love. Daniel didn't save Sarah, in many ways. Sarah saved them too. She brought laughter back into a house once filled with silence. She showed Emily that kindness could change someone's life. And she reminded Daniel that no matter how broken you feel, your heart can still open again. To everyone watching this story unfold, if it has touched your heart, I invite you to support us by liking this video, subscribing to Kindness Stories, and sharing it with others. Your small action could inspire someone to extend kindness when they see a soul in need. And before we end, here's a special request. Please comment below what kindness means to you. Your words might inspire someone else who is searching for hope. Sarah's life did not end in the rain that night. It began again because a little girl refused to ignore a stranger's pain, and because her father chose compassion over convenience. Sometimes, the greatest miracles don't come from grand gestures, but from a child's tears that whisper, "She's all alone, Daddy," and from a heart brave enough to answer, "Not anymore."